Okay, welcome to part 3, the last two questions here as we work through these together. And hopefully if you have been following what we've been doing, this can actually go quite a bit faster for us now. All right, let's look at what we have in number 7. We have this. Do you remember from the last video what that tells us right there? Hopefully you know that that flips it. So my graph is going to look something like that. It's going to go down. Okay, do you remember what inside that will do? That makes it move along the x-axis the opposite direction. So that's going to be +2 along the x-axis. And then this +4 outside, do you remember what that does? That moves it in the same direction. So I'm going to guess that that's going to move it up 4. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to guess our key point. And my guess is that the key point would be from the origin, it'd be over 2 up 4. So my guess is that the key point is right there at the point 2, 4. Well, we need to prove it. Okay, let's build a little table here at the bottom of your paper. Got x, you're going to need some room for the y. Whoops, didn't mean to do that x there. Okay, we're going to plug in 2, and we want to see if it does work out to be 4. Okay, so y goes in here. So again, I'm plugging x into the original equation. There's a negative sign outside. I have 2 minus 2 plus 4. Okay, so if I work this out, that's 0 inside, so you have negative absolute value of 0 plus 4. Well, 0 is just 0, and it's not positive or negative. So that just works out to be 4. So indeed, at the point x is 2, y is equal to 4. So that point is on the line. What you do need to do is show a point on each side of the key point to show that it is indeed the right place, that it's going, and we're guessing that it goes down. So I want to see, I'm going to guess right here that that's the next point. So I want to guess that 1, and I want to plug it in there. I want to see if 1 works out to be 3. Okay, so here we go. Negative 1 minus 2 plus 4. Let's work this out. That's negative sign. I'm going to extend my page a little bit here. And it just made it smaller for you. Sorry about that. Negative 1 minus 2. That would be, I don't like this. I'm going to change my screen to make it easier for you to see. Here, this will work better for you, I think. Let's try that. Negative 1. Negative sign 1 minus 2, so that would be absolute value. 1 minus 2 is negative 1 plus 4. Okay, the absolute value of negative 1 is 1, but don't forget about that negative sign, so it's actually negative 1 now, plus 4. Negative 1 plus 4 is 3, so that is the point 1, 3. And, good news, that was what I was guessing right there, 1, 3. All right, now let's check one more. I'm hoping that the next point is right there, around that key point. At 3, I'm hoping to get 3. Okay, so I'm going to guess x is 3. X is 3, so let's plug it in to the original equation was negative sign. 3 minus 2 plus 4. Okay, so that negative sign is right there. The absolute value, 3 minus 2 is 1 plus 4. The negative sign, absolute value of 1, that's negative 1 because that's 1, and then the opposite of that is 4. So I do have the point 3, 3. And 3, 3 is what I guessed, so there it is. That is a bad graph that should go through these points right here. And that's so bad I'm going to redraw it. Please take better care in your graphs than what I'm doing because this is really hard to graph on here. Let me draw those points again. Go like this. Draw that line with a straight edge through there. And these points would go through here, like such. All right, let's look at one last example and we'll be all done for you. Number 8. So what you have to do is you have to get the key point, and you have to get 1 point on each side of the key point to make sure that that key point actually is framed around, turns around that that key point there. So let's look at number 8 here. Okay, let's guess this. All right, so there's no negative sign, so I'm going to guess that it goes up like that, and it will. This right here is telling me that it moves along the x-axis, the opposite direction. So I'm thinking it goes -2 that way. That tells me that it goes down on the y-axis because on the number outside it goes down. So my key point guess, you always start with this. What do you think that key point is? I think it's -2, -3. Okay, -2, -3. So let's plug it into the equation, x and y. I'm going to plug in -2, so I'm going to plug it into the absolute value of -2 plus 2. That's absolute value, not a parenthesis. -3. Okay, the absolute value of -2 plus 2 is 0. -3, well that's easy, that's -3. 0 minus 3, -3. So I have the point -2, -3, which is exactly what I guessed right there. -2, -3. All right, let's pick key points around it. All right, I want to move it. I'm at -2. I'm going to go over to -1. I'm going to plug that in. Absolute value, -1 plus 2 minus 3. Okay, the absolute value of -1 plus 2 is 1 minus 3. So that ends up being +1 minus 3 is -2. So that's -1, -2 is right there. And if I do the same thing for now, pick -3. Absolute value of -3 plus 2 minus 3. That's absolute value of -1 minus 3. Absolute value of -1 is 1 minus 3 is also -2. So we have that point right there. And guess what? I'm right. You're right. We've guessed it based on the patterns that we've seen in the previous problems. We can build that graph this way. But you see how much faster it went here at the end when we applied the patterns that we learned from those previous graphs right there. So, recap. What you have to do, identify the key point, check the key point, pick 2 points around the key point. So 1, you have to guess the key point. Some people might call that the vertex. It's like the vertex of an angle. Okay, check it in the table. Okay, and then pick 1 point on each side of the key point. Okay, again, the key point is there. You want to pick 1 point on this side and 1 point on that side to test it. And that should do it for you. So it's a lot of stuff here. Bring your notes back to class, and I'm probably going to test you before you start the homework to see if you can indeed find that key point, or I might ask you to rewatch these videos. So I hope you're doing that. We'll see you soon.